Hey everybody, it's Neil Boortz, the Talkmaster. As you know, because you see the constant mentions on Twitter, I've had a podcast here on the ConnectPal website for, I don't know how long, a year? And I've experienced a recent surge in subscribers. So it just makes me greedy. I want more. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm taking the Boortzcast that I posted on November the 19th. It's all about a speech that I would like to make to incoming college freshmen. That went on the podcast site on Friday. Now I'm posting it here on YouTube for you to listen to for nothing. And of course, I'm begging you, since you'll be so excited at what you heard, to subscribe to my Boortzcast. You'll get about 3 of these every week, usually closer to 40 minutes long than 30 minutes long, and then you get some Boortz bits. That's when I just have something stuck in my craw. I open the microphone and talk for about 5 or 10 minutes and let it rip, and I give you all of the commentaries, my 5 weekday commentaries on WSB Radio in Atlanta. So here you go. This is my Boortzcast from Friday, November the 19th. Hope you enjoy. And if you subscribe, thank you.
It's time for another Boortzcast.
Good day, good Thursday. It's the 19th of November. And here I am, your Boortz pal, ready to rant and rave for a while on another Boortzcast. And like to thank, of course, by telling you how much I appreciate your subscription. Do everything I can to make it worthwhile. Okay, so let the cat out of the bag because it's relevant to some of the things I want to yell and scream about today. Let the cat out of the bag. I am working on a new book. And I'm telling you about it because maybe it will encourage you to pester the crap out of me saying, well, how's the new book going? The working title of the book is simply Speeches. Now, let me go back and tell you the genesis of this whole thing. Many, many years ago, I got really pissed off because I had never been invited to deliver a commencement speech. Now, that's probably a good thing because if I did deliver a commencement speech the way I wanted to, it would result, quite likely, in a riot. Anyway, one particular year, and you know what? I have to take this all the way back to about 1992 or so. Not sure. No, actually, I am sure because I looked it up. It was 1996, and Kermit the Frog delivers a commencement speech at Southampton College, Long Island University. Kermit the freaking Frog. No, and I'm not kidding, during that speech, Kermit, and by the way, I know Kermit the Frog. I've known Kermit the Frog for a couple of years. That is, I know the guy who plays or handles the Kermit the Frog puppet for the Muppets. He's been a guest in the studio, and he brought Kermit with him. The problem is that since Kermit, at the time he was visiting us in the studio, Kermit was owned by, the Muppets were owned by ABC, so he couldn't put in an appearance with Kermit, but he came in and talked with us about being a Muppeteer. But Kermit talked about his times as a tadpole. And from a tadpole, he had always wanted to deliver a commencement speech. And for his speech, he got an honorary degree as a Doctor of Amphibious Letters. Oh, and by the way, Flo, the one from the Progressive Insurance commercials, not Aunt Flo, also delivered a commencement speech at Binghamton University. But anyway, I decided that I was just going to go ahead and write a commencement speech. So I did. What would I say to a college graduating class if there were no restrictions, no limits, not really a time period limit, and I was delivering the commencement speech? So I wrote it, and it actually got published as a standalone book, although kind of a narrow one, as you might expect, The Commencement Speech You Need to Hear. First book I ever had published, Longstreet Press. That commencement speech is about 20-plus years old, but you can go on Google right now, and you can Google commencement speech Neil Boortz. Now, on Google, you will read that this is a commencement speech that Neil Boortz delivered at Texas A&M University. No, I didn't. That speech has never been delivered at any commencement speech anywhere, but it is probably the most widely read commencement speech ever. We did gather a crowd of about 1,000 people one time at an auditorium at Kennesaw State University. I think that's what they called it at the time. And I delivered that speech to that crowd just for the purpose of getting it on video. I don't know what became of that. Hey, maybe you can find that on YouTube as well. I just don't know. But at any rate, now, and there's a reason I'm telling you this, I am going to write a book of speeches. I used to be in demand as a speaker. I used to make quite a number of speeches every year, but since I'm retired, bluntly, I never get asked to deliver speeches anymore because I've disappeared from the radar screen. I mean, just that easy. I told people on the air, I recognize this. I told people on the air for years before I retired that when I am off the radio, I will essentially disappear. You can take, and I use this as an analogy, you can take the largest ship afloat, the biggest oil tanker, the biggest container ship, the biggest cruise ship, and you can reach down from the heavens and take it out of the water. And in about 30 seconds, you will never know that that ship was ever there. And that's the way it is with radio fame, folks. So since I'm really not that much in demand as a speaker anymore, except by you wonderful people who have subscribed to this Boortzcast, I've decided just to take a bunch of speeches. I don't know how many, maybe 10, maybe 15 or so, 45-minute speeches, and put them into a book. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm writing, the first speech I'm actually writing is, so you want a dialogue on race. Having a lot of fun with that one, and yes, it's just as offensive. It's just as offensive as you might expect it to be. But I'm also writing 2 speeches related to college. I'm going to update the commencement speech, but I am also writing the speech that the dean or the president or the chancellor or some HMWIC should deliver to an entering freshman class at every college and university. I can remember in the fall of 1963 when I was sitting at the Jolly Raleigh, or whatever they call it, at Texas A&M University, when somebody, I was with all of the entering freshmen, and somebody got up there. The president of the university at that time was Earl Rudder, who led the Rangers up the cliffs of Normandy on D-Day. Quite a guy. I don't know if it was him or the dean of students or whatever, but they got us together for a speech and told us what was expected of us as freshmen at Texas A&M. I remember only one thing starkly about that speech, and that was whoever was speaking telling us, look at the person on your right and look at the person on your left. There's 3 of you. You and those 2 people. Only one of you will graduate from this institution. The other 2 will drop out or go somewhere else because they couldn't handle the rigors of an education here at Texas A&M. Now, I told you that my commencement speech was very widely distributed on the internet. In fact, I was at a football game at Texas A&M, I guess maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and I went to the president's luncheon or breakfast, don't know which. I was invited there by Governor Rick Perry before the football game. And during that meal, the president of the university, and I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, she was a Hispanic lady. She walked up to me and she said, "Let me ask you about this commencement speech you supposedly delivered here." Ma'am, I'm sorry. I have never claimed to have delivered that speech at Texas A&M. That's just an internet rumor that I have never verified and have told people repeatedly that it's not true. She said, oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I want you to deliver that speech at a Texas A&M graduation. I looked at her and said, "You sure?" "Yes." "Okay, you just let me know when. Be happy to." Soon thereafter, she was removed from her position as the president of Texas A&M University. And, as they say, that's the way it goes. Now, and I may be repeating myself here, one of the speeches I'm going to write in this book will be my speech to the incoming students at an American college or university. And I'll tell you some of the things that speech is going to say. And no, I haven't written it yet. I just have some points down, so I'm speaking off the top of my head. Okay, children, and yes, you are still children. You are 6 months removed from high school. Most of you are only a month or so removed from the safety and security of your home. By the time you graduate, if you graduate from this university, you will be young adults. But you are not now. You are still children, and it is the job and the function of this university to educate you, to prepare you for life on your own, to get you ready for a career, and to help you grow up. And as children, you need to know that you are not nearly as smart as you think you are. You do not know everything. You are not prepared to run this country, much less this university. You are not ready to rewrite the Constitution of the United States. You are not ready to tell other people how they must live their lives. So let me tell you some of the rules, how things are. You can ignore this, as you undoubtedly ignored your parents' best advice many times over the last years. You can ignore this, but there will be consequences. And these consequences will not please you, and they certainly won't please your parents. First of all, you will not disrupt the operation of this school. You will not occupy a classroom. You will not occupy my office. You will not occupy any official's office on this campus. You will not take over a public space on this campus and claim it as your own and demand that others be kept away. I'll make this easy for you. You will not get away with anything here that you couldn't get away with at the place of business of your future employer. If you think when you graduate from this university, if you think that you can occupy your new boss's office until he accedes to certain demands and get away with it, then we will have failed miserably at our job here. And we're not going to fail. You're going to learn that lesson, or you're going to leave. The penalty for disrupting the operation of this university in any way in an attempt to promote your personal, your social, or your racial grievances will be met by expulsion from this university. It's that simple. If there's anybody here that does not know the meaning of the word expel, then your faculty advisor will be happy to explain it to you. But just beware. You interfere with the operation and functions of this university, and you will be gone. One more thing. This university recognizes, endorses, and appreciates the concept of free speech, whether it is offensive to you or not. The courts have recognized that free speech does not mean that you can threaten somebody's health or safety. You cannot make terroristic threats, but hurting somebody's feelings as you honestly express your own thoughts and opinions is not a violation of the guarantees of free speech. And in case you don't know it, you have no right to not be offended. And I'll add this: nobody can ever offend you without your permission. There will be speakers on this campus that you agree with and whose speeches you will be eager to attend. There will be speakers on this campus who you do not agree with, and you might wish to protest their speech. Protest? That's fine, as long as you do not disrupt the functions of this university. And these speeches are a function of this university. You can protest them, great. If you disrupt them, you will be expelled. No second chances. Now we realize that the transition from the children you are today to the young adults we hope to graduate in 4 years will be difficult. We have the counselors, we have the staff, we have the people who can help you make that transition. Just remember, they're running this show. You are not. Oh, that's fun. I can't wait to get that speech finished. And the one on dialogue on race, well, you can just imagine. Another speech, things you know that ain't so. Okay, why was I going through all of this? Well, it's because of these campus disruptions at places like Claremont McKenna College in California, the University of Missouri, Princeton, Yale, Dartmouth, all over the place. You know what? I want them to go on. I want these things to continue. I want these children to keep acting like know-it-all brats so that the people, the adults in this country, can see what years and years of liberalism in academia has brought us. You know, I forget. There's just been so many of these stories. Maybe you heard about the demonstration in the Dartmouth University Library. There were a bunch of students in there, a bunch of students studying for tests, doing their research, and in comes the domestic terrorist group known as Black Lives Matter. And yes, I believe that they are a terrorist group, describing terrorists as people who use violence and threats of violence to effect social change, to strike fear into a certain group of people in order to bring about some desired change. And the violence, there is no question that the Black Lives Matter movement has caused the death of police officers around this country. Anyway, they come marching into this library chanting, screaming, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I could play the audio for you. The video, yep, I guess I could post that too. You can find it. They show these black people. Oh, and there were white demonstrators too, but it was the black ones that were really causing the disturbance. Let me ask you, how would you like this? Because this happened to some of the students at the Dartmouth Library. You're sitting there, you're studying, you're sitting at a table, and you have a couple of research and reference books stacked up around you. Here come the demonstrators. And then all of a sudden, some black guy sticks his face right into your face and screams at you, say Black Lives Matter. He keeps his face right in your face, threatening you, intimidating you, yes, terrorizing you until you utter the words, Black Lives Matter. Or some black college female sees a white girl crying because the whole demonstration is frightening her, and she walks over and sticks her face in that white woman's face and says something like, I don't remember the exact words, wipe away those tears, you white bitch. Yep, that all happened at Dartmouth University. These protesters were throwing racial slurs at white students who were studying for exams in the college library. And here comes Inge Lees, Inge-Lees, Amir, who is the vice president of what? Oh, the vice provost of student affairs at Dartmouth. And according to the Dartmouth Review, she says that this demonstration in the library was a wonderful, beautiful thing. She held a meeting, I guess, with a name like Inga. It's a she. She held a meeting with some of the aggrieved students. And one of those students at that meeting, and I'm going to use the word the student used because, you know, there were other students at Dartmouth who were upset by the demonstration. There were students at Dartmouth who did not like somebody sticking their face in your face and saying, say Black Lives Matter. So the people who protested the protest were referred to as fucking racists. Really, I'm not sorry I have to use the language. It's language you hear every day. But according to the Dartmouth Review, students who refused to join in the protest were shouted down. Stand the fuck up, you filthy racist white piece of shit. Men and women were pushed and shoved by this group. If we can't have it, we'll shut it down, they cried. A woman was pinned to the wall by protesters who unleashed their insults, shouting, filthy white bitch, in her face. Other protesters in the library, fuck you, you filthy white fascist. Fuck you and your comfort. Fuck you, you racist shits. Look, I apologize. If you're offended by the words I'm using here, just thank God I'm not on the radio. If you're offended, think, I'm not threatening you. Think what those students in the library, what they felt. And then the Dartmouth official comes along and says that the protest was a wonderful, beautiful thing. Do you wonder why in the world our colleges and universities are places of so-called higher education? Do you wonder why they're so infested with these leftist, I'll use the word fascist, progressive, liberal morons? You know what? It really does go back to the Vietnam War. A lot of you weren't around then. I was actually on the radio. But a lot of you weren't around during the Vietnam War when all of the protests started about that war. You know, in retrospect, 2020 hindsight, and hindsight is always 2020, there was a lot to protest about the Vietnam War. But back then we had the draft, and some left-wing college students would really work overtime to stay in school so they could keep a student deferment to avoid the draft. So they would take, I think what we called them back there was crip courses, but they would pursue a ridiculously easy course of study. After all, they were liberals. You don't find liberals trying to get engineering degrees. That's work. So they would pursue ridiculously easy courses of study. They would get their degree in history or their degree in political science or their degree in English. I don't think that we had devolved to the point that they had degrees in gender studies back then, but they would go after these easy degrees. And then as soon as they got those easy degrees and the draft was still in place and the war was still going on, they would apply for graduate school in an attempt to keep their student deferment. And in graduate school, they would continue to pursue the same worthless POS graduate degrees that would match their undergraduate degrees. So the war ends, the draft is over, and these people who went to these extraordinary lengths to stay in school with student deferments suddenly find themselves with degrees that do not lead them to any viable career path. There's no jobs for them. So what do many of them do? They work to remain at the university or the college. They apply for an assistant position to help some professor as a assistant instructor, whatever. They do whatever they can to stay at their college and university until they work their way up to an assistant professor and then a professor position, and finally, they're tenured. Oh, happy day, they have tenure. And then the same left-wing, anti-capitalist, anti-American emotions, attitudes, and feelings that drove them during undergraduate school take over again now that they're tenured, and they start preaching the anti-American, anti-capitalist, anti-free enterprise, anti-constitution line of crap that they believed in when they were undergraduate students. Those are the people. Those are the people that we have, in large part, running America's colleges and universities today. Those are the types of people who will look at a group of demonstrators who have been shouting vicious slogans at white students in the college library and then say, "Oh, what a wonderful, beautiful thing that protest was." So my message here today is, keep it up. Please, keep it up. You left-wing, progressive, know-it-all students. The adults in the room are watching. They watch you terrorize other students. They watch you interfere with the operation of your university. They watch you make demands for resegregation of the university. Yeah, those were some of the demands recently placed before the president of Princeton University. The black students were demanding their own space on that campus free from whiteness. That's a demand for segregation. Keep it up. Hey, look, come to me. I can give you even more asinine, stupid, ridiculous demands. The president of Princeton, by the way, who actually has a set, told the students no. So they are currently, as I record this, occupying his office. They should be removed forcibly by law enforcement, taken off the campus and given a trespass warning. The trespass warning means you are hereafter forbidden to enter this campus. You are expelled. You're out of here. We will have officials meet you and escort you back to your dorm room to pick up your personal effects. But you better not come on this campus without specific permission, or you will be arrested for trespassing and your little proggy ass will be hauled off to jail. But I just got wound up again. Keep it up, students. Keep it up. Occupy more offices. Demand more safe spaces. Demand more spaces free of whiteness. Go up to university presidents and say, admit your white privilege or we're going to keep protesting. Keep it up, because the adults in the room, the grown-ups of this country, they look at that, they're disgusted, they're repulsed. They know that they could not get away with that on the job. They know that you will not be able to get away with that on the job. They sense that they are going to be paying taxes long into the future to support you, because you will be basically unemployable. So keep it up, because the adults in the room also recognize this as the effect, the result of years of left-wing liberalism or years of Democrat control of colleges and universities around this nation. And it is going to snap back and smite you in the election next year. Republican voters certainly are disgusted by these actions of these students, and independent voters are repulsed as well. Look at the polls. Thank God you're not smart enough to understand the damage you're doing to your precious progressivism, liberalism, and your Democrat caretakers, both at the colleges and universities and in elective office around the country. Keep it up. Every time I open a paper, every time I watch a newscast or listen to the news on the radio, I hope to hear about another stupid, asinine, left-wing demonstration by college children who think they have all the answers. That's all.
That's it for now. Neil is slithering back under his rock. You'll be notified by email and on Twitter when he crawls out again to share his wisdom. Thanks so much for subscribing.